Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, it is a solo episode. I'm Matt Levenhagen. I will be talking to you about my business today on how I'm implementing and using AI. So this is like a practical, this is actually something I'm doing. I'm sharing my personal experience like we try to do on this podcast. But this one's going to really, I'm excited about this one. And I do have a confession. This is the second time recording it because I actually had a different kind of overall idea for the episode. And then when I got into this part, I realized this is the episode. So it's not a waste of time. That first one was a dry run. But I seriously, as I was talking about it, again, so AI is like just this word we hear all the time. Well, it's two letters actually. And I'm sure a lot of you are sick of hearing about it. Maybe. I mean, I know my wife's sick of hearing about it. But it's something that is going to be here for the long haul, right? What's happening right now, we're in a very pivotal moment in history. And no kidding, I do believe that. And I think in the next 5, 10, 25 years, whatever, beyond, it's just going to be different because we have some buddies helping us out. But before I get into that, what I'd like to do is just take a moment and let you know that we are going into a season 3. This is the last episode of season 2. Season 2, we kind of, I wasn't going to have seasons until like episode 200. And for reasons, I decided to have a second season, restructured things a little bit, focused them. And now we're going to even focus them even more. Going into this third season, basically they're going to be shorter episodes, and they are going to be not like 10 minutes, but they're going to be like probably average. I'm looking at 30 to 40 minutes. That's how it's been working so far. I've already recorded a few episodes. Also, they're going to be more focused. They're going to be either talking to that entrepreneurial story, the business owner, whoever's on the podcast, what their journey is, what their origin story is, how they got into business, or the businesses they built, or what they're building now, and we land on what they're doing now. So there's still that, but that would be an episode. So if somebody doesn't have enough for that, they would just go into an episode talking about what they've built. And that's one of the key things that happened in season 2 is when I get on a intro call to talk to a podcast guest or potential guest, I say, what have you built? What are you building? What have you built? What are you building for others? And that could be the macro of building a business, could be the micro services, products, building teams, could be a little more abstract, but it's about the building. And that actually helped a lot. Actually, those conversations I have, I could just see the wheels spinning every time I would spit that out, and which I hadn't seen before because our first 200 was all over the place. We really weren't that focused, and it helped a lot. Now we're going to focus even more, which means that a lot of our guests, well, at least how it's starting, are on board for more than one episode. So we might, if we bring them in for the story, we've done 2 of these already. Bring them in for their story. They talk to their story, and then they come back a second time to talk about something specific to their business or what they're built. It's working out really well, and it's being well received by the people I'm talking to. So that's awesome. So that's happening. So this is the last episode. It's a solo episode. Here I am to sign off of season 2, and let's get into it, though. So what am I going to talk about today? So I am talking about basically the new era. Basically this is a new era and how we build. I say we, that's me, that's potentially my team, and we as in all of us are going to be building things differently in the future, if you're not already. And some of us are already, and I have been already. Now, my team has changed this past year, 2 years. In the beginning, when I first started this agency, obviously I was more solo in the beginning to get things started. And then I'd pull people in, contractors as I needed them on larger projects and things if I needed to do something in parallel. And then I had a dedicated team for a number of years. But that's actually changed in the last year or two. So my team has shrunk just because of a variety of factors. And I'm actually doing at the moment, I'm doing a lot of the coding at the moment. So we're down to Matt with helpers if he needs it. And if a larger project or a larger client comes along or needs something or need to do something in parallel, kind of like in the starting days, I would be able to spin up a team pretty easily around that project or that client, that contract. So that's all still in place. But at the moment, the way things are, we have regular contracts. We got direct clients and agency partners still and all that. But at the moment, I'm doing a lot of the building, and I'll tell you how I'm getting it done. That's the fun part. So my goal with this is not to just talk to somebody that wants to code. I know you're not all coders, right? I know you're not all web developers. And that's kind of, if you are one or you want to get into it, this could be a good episode for you. In fact, I had a meeting with somebody this past week on Friday, a couple days ago. I'm actually recording this on a Sunday, which doesn't happen too often. but I was talking to him, and he's got a digital marketing agency. They do advertising, a lot of Amazon stuff, and he basically wants to get into he wants to build some stuff. And so we got on a call. He wanted to talk about AI, and we just kind of got to know each other a little bit, and kind of as you do, and we kind of learned about each other's businesses, and then we got into the AI stuff. And by the end of that conversation, he was super stoked. He was really excited. But the other thing that came out of that was, as I was talking to him, we got into how I was using AI. So that was part of the conversation. He was kind of a consultation in a way. It was essentially, the goal was for him to be able to figure out how to implement AI in his own business as an agency, and how he can adapt to what's happening. And so I told him how I was approaching it, what I was doing for my business, and what I was planning. But as I was explaining part of that, I used some examples, which I'm going to use today, of how I had just done, I think it was even that morning, I had done some stuff, and I was explaining to him on a current project how I was using multiple AIs, multiple models to get stuff done. And each one had their own role. So he got very excited about that. And at one point he said, Matt, it's just basically like you got a AI team. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. And then afterwards, as I was thinking about it this weekend, like, I've had guests on this podcast that have talked about AI employees. Now, they were in AI themselves. They were talking about this is where we're headed, where a lot of agencies or a lot of businesses are going to have AI employees that can get stuff done. So that kind of where agentic comes in, where, people are creating, or you can now have agents get stuff done for you. And you can use systems like Zapier, but also like N8N, which is a little more advanced system to create automations and stuff. And there's so much you can do, but what that really stuck with me. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't really think about it because I've been kind of just doing it. So for a good part of this year, I've been doing a lot of the coding again, and I've been leveraging AI as much as possible. And I've used it to build landing pages, to build in WordPress, to build sales pages, PDP pages, but also some back-end stuff. And the project I'm working on right now is actually more of a back-end project, although there's a front-end UI. And it's using a framework that I am not known for, right? When I got into this agency, I had been a WordPress guy for most of my life. I started using WordPress for myself and my own business and stuff probably in 2005. So I was just a WordPress guy all that time. And then when I did pivot and went into web design and development, I naturally gravitated to it and became basically a WordPress developer. Of course, I learned JavaScript and PHP and all the other stuff that go with it to build stuff, to build themes and websites. But essentially 95% of our business has been WordPress. But we get some other stuff. Now we've moved into working with Shopify clients and things like that. But I always wanted to, and I'd done a few projects using React and other frameworks like that, JavaScript frameworks. And I'd worked on projects, either helping debugging or adding features to projects. We actually built a year or two ago. We built a customer portal using React, and so I was kind of a React guy because I had more experience with it. But as I was getting into kind of figuring out what I'm going to do now and get into AI and stuff, React seemed like the framework I was going to use, and I'm going to be talking a lot more about it. Actually, it's going to be Next.js, which is React essentially. So I have a stack now, a new stack that I'm using, and the project I'm working on now is actually there's a lot of API stuff. So we're solving a business problem, and that's kind of how I advise. Like that's how I think of AI, because everyone's trying to figure out how to implement AI. And my advice to everybody is start with the problem. You have the same problems, or you have the same things you're doing. You might want to become more efficient, or maybe you already have some Zapier things. You got some automations going on, or within the systems you're using, they're starting to introduce AI stuff. But that's, just don't stress about it. Just if you have a problem, solve that problem. And if AI happens to be part of the solution, great. Of course, you got to learn what AI can do for you. You have to actually either talk with somebody or whatever and say, what are the options? What does this do? Like my buddy on Friday, I was talking to him and we were talking about how he could automate. He had a specific process. There was like 10 different steps, and a couple different steps involved email and just a bunch of things. He's like, can I do this with this setup? And I said, yeah. And he was like, yeah. But anyway, it's exciting when you can do that, because that was a situation where he could save a lot of time. But it's also for me, and what I talked to him about. In fact, I brought this book out. I'll show it on the video. It's Getting Things Done. I talked to him about how having that inbox and getting it off your mind and stuff too. And that's how you're less stressed, because you got everything captured. It's a whole thing. I keep getting off the main track here, but I get excited about this stuff. But what we're doing is we're building basically this business is growing by leaps and bounds. It's literally growing 5-10x in the last quarter. And they actually have a whole new platform that they're making sales on. But we also just split off their main site into a subdomain, and we've got all these things going on. But what happens when you do that is you have an owner of this website that's used to going in and getting data in one place. And he's got a large support center and a support staff that are used to going to one place. Now you have one place, two places, three places. Well, they actually have a fourth, but I don't know what's going on with that one. But anyway, so they have multiple endpoints to go to. So it's very inefficient for them to go to this place. So they have to look at the orders all the time. They have to manage them. They have to do whatever they do with orders, right? And this is WooCommerce. So these are two WordPress sites, but then there's another platform, right? That's not WordPress. And that's the other thing. But I have to solve that for them, right? This is very inefficient for them. They're freaking out a little bit. And so my solution to that is to build an orders interface where they can search for orders and pull in through an API, pull in the data from all three sources in one interface that they can search all together. So that's basically at the core of it. That's a simplified version of it, but that's how it's happening. Now, the APIs are different This other platform uses a different, it's not a REST API. I don't want to get technical, but it's different. So there's a different way we have to tackle that problem. So we bring all that together. Yeah, but I'm a platform. I think platform like this, they have other things they have to solve. So I'm kind of building this once. They're going to be able to use it for orders, and we can snap on other things that they need. Like the owner can go to one place and see what the daily sales are and stuff. So, and the other things, other shipping component, other things we're doing. So that is what I'm building. So I'm building it using Next.js, React, and there's going to be there's a serverless database involved. We're using TypeScript, using Tailwind. The stack's there, right? That's a stack is basically all the things that I'm using to build this thing. So that's great, but how am I building it? Now this is where it gets exciting, and this is where I was talking earlier. Like, I think it's again, I want to kind of reiterate: this is good for a developer to know, but it's also good for a business person to know. And the reason I say that is because whether you're have a digital marketing agency or you have a company of any kind, chances are somebody's going to be building something for you at some point. So understanding what other developers do to get stuff done will give you an understanding of what you should, how you should hire or whatever, or how you should get a contractor or whatever. It's good to know these things. So you can see it through my eyes and how I'm implementing it now, and then how I'm going to evolve. And it's changing me too, understanding these things. And actually, in a lot of ways, I'm glad I'm back in the seat of being the web developer. So I can really understand these things deeply. Now I have an advantage because I am a web developer. I coded, basically a coder for years. And so I have a lot of that background knowledge. I understand programming. I understand how to architect things. I understand all that stuff about code, patterns of building things. And so going into using chatbots and editors with AI built into it, and not only can I work with those systems, but I also can work, well, I'm not having the systems do it all for me. This isn't vibe coding, by the way. I don't believe in that because I have a lot of experience coding, and I think it's pretty much understood that vibe coding is not, it's a co-pilot. If you don't know, and if you're not in there guiding the process, and I'll show you how I do it, but if you're not in there guiding the process, you're going to have a mess. So, and it depends on the size of the project. And then there is that component here we'll get into. But let me explain what I'm doing and how I'm doing this project, and why my friend on Friday was like, "Holy, what? You got a whole team. You don't have developers helping you or anything, but you got a team." Yeah. So this is how it is. Essentially, what I do is I use multiple models. I don't use just one model. There was an agency that I just saw they were talking amongst them, in one of the chats that I belong to, one of the groups, and they were like trying to make a decision of which chatbot they were going to use for their business. And that's awesome because you want to focus, you want to think about the money end of it, but also, you may not need to use more than one model. Maybe. My thing is I use different models because they all have different strengths. So I use ChatGPT. I also use Claude. I use Grok. I use other models that are built into my tools. And I use them for different purposes. Now, Claude, which is also, there's Claude and there's Claude Code. And there's ChatGPT and then there's Codex. So they have like a coding version model that is dedicated to that. And both of those are really good. So I have Claude Code. But I also use an AI editor called Cursor. And in fact, they just came out with Cursor 2.0, which has even more AI capabilities in a new interface that's much cleaner, and actually a new model called Composer, which we need more models, right? more, the more the better, merrier. But it's actually really good. So I'll get into that. But so I have the apps. So I use a MacBook. I got my apps on my computer. I got the Claude app, and I got so it's interface of just the same thing you would have on your phone as well. So Claude and then ChatGPT. Now, if I'm doing coding, I'm using Claude. It's just I made a decision earlier this year that I was just gonna anything code related. I would have it all in Claude. And there's a reason for that. It's not just that it is better at coding and building things, but also there's a history component to these things. So these chat bots start to learn from your chat history if you have that toggled on and in memory and stuff like that. So that is why I want it to be more focused. My ChatGPT is actually more focused on business strategy and all the odds and ends, creating content, anything business related that's not related to code. Once in a while, there's some overlap, but Claude is where I'm going to go if I'm coding something, I'm solving problems, I'm troubleshooting, or I'm building something. So in this particular project, I worked with him first. I call it him. I actually got a nickname for him, Cade. So Cade, aka Claude, basically what I did with this project, and I've done with others, it's a larger project, right? So we have to plan it out first. We have to have an implementation plan. We have to have a build plan, like how we build in it, what tools are we using to build it, what frameworks and all that good stuff. So I worked all that out with Claude, and it was this iterative process, created a document out of that process, and really sketched out exactly how this thing was going to be built. So by the time I was done with Claude knew contextually what we were building and was actually able to create the plan to build it, the phases that I think it was about a dozen different phases to this. And how we're going to launch it, we're actually using a particular web host. It's actually Vercel, which actually Next.js and Vercel are related. And so, but they have all that figured out with them, right? And so he's my planner, right? He's my planner. But then I go to Cursor. I open my Cursor editor. The Cursor editor is wild. It has built-in models where you can use or chat for models, and you can switch between them. I could literally use ChatGPT or Grok or other models in there, Claude. I can use all those models in Cursor. That's not quite as cost effective as you might think, but I do pay for Cursor, and you do, have credits and stuff involved with that. But so now in this project, I'm using Composer, their new model, because I really wanted to test it out. I wanted to see how good this was. It's supposed to be fast, and it is pretty fast. But in that same editor, I don't want to get too technical, but there is a terminal, and I can pull in Claude code by just typing Claude. It just opens up in there, and it can understand the project as well. And if I needed to, I could pull in Codex. And so we have that going on, right? And then also, I'm going to get to why I use this in a minute, or not a minute, shortly. Part of the story is ChatGPT came out with Atlas. So Atlas is their AI browser. If you haven't played with it yet, it's pretty cool. And it has agents built into it. Basically, your ChatGPT just instantiates in that browser, and literally all your chat history, everything, your memory, your whole personality that you have in your ChatGPT becomes part of that browser. But now it can actually do things for you in the browser. Very cool. Anyway, some people are scared of that, but whatever. I just dive right in, So that's going to be part of the story. So now we have Claude, the planner. We have the Get Stuff Done crew, which my developers, right? My coders. And then I have ChatGPT's Atlas to do some web-based stuff for me and do some things. So we got the plan. Claude's good. Now, the way I talk to Claude now, as I said, he knows about Composer, right? He knows about Cursor, how we're doing this. And my instructions to him is now give me the instructions for Composer to build this thing. And boom, writes out the instructions, copy and paste. I copy that into Composer, into the Cursor editor, builds it, pulls down all the files needed, everything else, configures everything, does, just builds the project. And then the next phase, we're going to build this component and then this component and then this component until we have a working prototype. And the other thing with Cursor now is as a built-in browser. So not only am I building this thing, Cursor and Composer can actually see it in the browser and test it, and I can interact with that browser with it, and it's a whole thing. It's very cool. But here's where it gets even cooler. So one of the things with models and I've done a lot of this right at this point, is it doesn't always figure it out. It's not omniscient. It's not like you can't point it to a problem and it can solve that problem every single time. It just doesn't happen. Sometimes it goes over its head, right? It might eventually figure it out. But if I'm hitting 4 or 5 iterations to try to fix this particular bug or whatever, now that bug could be me because it could be something I did on my end. That happened. And I'll tell you that story in a minute. But what I'll do is I'll pull in another model, whether that would be Codex, but usually the first stop is going to be Claude Code. So I say, Composers hasn't figured it out. I go to Claude Code and I explain the project. And Claude's very good at understanding large contexts and figures it out. So we had an issue. We had a couple times, I think I had to go to Claude Code to say, this is what we're trying to figure out. And it solves that problem. So part of this project, mostly, Composer is doing most of the stuff, but Claude Code is in there just to support that. Like, think of Claude Code as kind of that senior developer you pull in when your junior is not figuring it out or you're not figuring it out. And I'm in here. Understand my role is to guide this whole process and sometimes jump into code and understand the structure and look at what's being built, right? And so sometimes I may go in and tweak some things myself and do the coding, but a lot of the stuff is getting done by these chatbots now. So as it's doing that, but as each phase happens, so Claude is asking, okay, when you get, part of the instructions is when you get done, show us the code or whatever. And then I'll come back, or if I need to, I'll have Composer summarize, and then I drop that into Claude and say, Claude, got her done. And then Claude gets excited and gives us kudos, like, we built it and blah, blah, blah. And like does the next thing, right? So Composer and in the editor, we might go through some iterations of bug fixing and stuff. And then I check back with Claude because Claude has the architecture. Claude has the plan. I don't want to do that necessarily. I'm sure some people in smaller projects, you'll do this where, in fact, kind of Cursor 2 is built like this where it does the planning as well. But I may do that on smaller stuff, but this, it felt better because Claude has one role, the editor has another role, right? And we kind of keep those things separate, and yeah, it just worked. So you already have kind of a crew building here. Now there was a situation where we couldn't solve this particular problem, and it was related to Vercel, and Vercel is not your average host. It's very complicated. The how it's kind of handled. It's a little more advanced. We'll just put it that way in terms of how programming is done and web development is done, whatever. And I'm relatively newish to it, so I'm I got it going. But there was one particular thing that I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't know. We tried to figure it out in the code, and I was probably driving my chatbots crazy trying to fix this thing. And finally, I had this idea to spark an idea. I said, you know what? Let me just make sure we got it configured right in that system, in their admin. And so I launched Atlas, and I opened up the chat. I logged in to Vercel, and I said to ChatGPT, this is the problem. Okay, we built this thing, and this is the problem we're having. These are the errors we're having. And what ChatGPT does, it takes over the browser. So it does this shimmery thing. It's pretty cool when it's like working. And it does some navigation. It's trying to figure it out. It'll go out. It can go out and get documentation. So if it needs to figure something out, and same with in the editor, like there are some of the times where it prompted me, like I need to go out and look at the documentation for this particular thing. And it goes out and figures it out. And comes back with the solution and implements it. Same here. So turns out that I had added something to these global basically functions, and I hadn't attached it to the project. And I actually moved those settings to the project. But ChatGPT figured that out for me. It's like, hey, idiot. No, I didn't say that. I have a real nice chatbot. So I make sure they're nice. They're nice. They're positive. There you go. So now I have Atlas in the mix, solving a problem for me. Now I can't tell you how cool this is. And it kind of evolved naturally because I'm just constantly, every time I'm doing a project this year, I'm trying to figure out how I can I'm trying to use chatbots as much as possible. I'm trying to use the editors as much as possible. I'm trying to guide it and have it build out functions as much as possible. And it's getting better and better. But now with this particular setup, like my buddy said on Friday, I call him my buddy. I haven't known him that long. You're my buddy now if you're listening to this. But I'm excited because I'm excited for what he's building, and I'm excited to see what he all does with what I talked to him about. But anyway, so you have kind of the planner, the coder, the tester, right? Somebody to, I'm actually a tester. Sometimes it'll give me a command to test something, and it puts in all the, how I check the logs and things, but then I'll take those logs, snapshot them, and give them back to the bot to look at the logs and be like, what does this tell you? So I got the browser agent, the junior developer, the senior developer. I have a team. I literally can build some things in an afternoon, a day, a couple days that might have taken me a week or weeks to do before. Now I still am involved. Like I said, you still have to, my role, over the last several years, my role was managing a team, right? I had a team of developers. Once in a while I'd jump into code. I'd go do stuff, right? If I need to deliver something, I still have that knowledge and abilities. But most of the stuff I would give my team. Well, what's changed is it's kind of a very similar thing. I'm just closer to the ground. I'm closer to the project, right? I'm actually managing the project itself. I'm not managing the people in the project. I'm managing the bots, and I'm in the editor. But it's basically become, these are my AI employees. This is my AI team, and I know this could be applied to so many other things, whether it's a digital marketing agency or some other company out there that's building stuff or just day-to-day stuff. I mean, you're managing AI employees. And I realized, I guess I hadn't really thought about it that deeply. I'm just getting stuff done. But I feel like I've landed in this place where, yeah, I'm not alone. I'm talking to bots all day. I don't know if that's good or bad. But I do have real people I talk to on my team, but that still helped me and still does stuff. But this brings me to the other thing. Now you see like how I'm using it, and this is just this aspect in this project. I am using it for other projects. There's a chat bot I'm building right now for my business. I'll get into that in a minute. I say a minute. When I say a minute, it might be 10, 15. Okay, but but I'm using it for all these other things, and it's awesome, right? I'm able to, it's crazy the things that it can do. Like I've built UIs, pages, landing pages, basically without building them. Like I sometimes it's actually pretty cool, right? So I'm building this chatbot right now, and the chatbot's actually going to be baked into a landing page. And I didn't talk about the landing page design. I didn't talk about the content really. It had some access to content that I, needed to use, but the chatbot, like I was just focused on the chatbot and Next.js and and the project and how it would be architected and how the features would work. And the next thing I know, there's a beautiful UI or a beautiful web page. Like I went to it, I thought I thought I was going to go to this page and it would just be like the chatbot, but it was like responsive. It was like just built almost the design wise. I'm like, this is a really cool design. It's crazy what it can do. But here's the thing. Okay. All the stuff that I'm using it for. Now I understand how it can be used. So actually, it's a really good thing that I'm doing what I'm doing right now because I feel like this is going to serve me going forward. I have a team that I can spin up overnight or within a week. We'll say maybe 2 weeks. Almost anything I can spin up a team and get people on a project. And I still have people that I use that I'll pull in. If I am in this project right now, if another project needed to get done right now, I need to pull somebody else in to work on it in parallel. So that's still a capability of mine, right? But the whole thing is that I realize it's going to affect my hiring process going forward. Now, over the last couple of years, I have continuously encouraged my team to learn AI and to be using AI in their day to day, whether that's my VA that helps me with content and this podcast and marketing, or it's one of our programmers or web developers. All of them I've encouraged. And when I learn something, I try to drop it in the chat and click up and I'm like, check this out. I try to keep it in the conversation. But I realize going forward that any web developer that I hire, one of the questions in that interview is going to be, what tools are you using to build stuff? What AI tools? Because I think that it's not replacing us. The people that are going to be replaced in a lot of these roles in business are not the people, the AI isn't replacing everybody. It's replacing the people not using AI, right? So that's going to become part of my business. We are an AI enabled, driven agency now. It's from the ground up. We use it ourselves. We're going to be building stuff for others. And there's a design component to this. But my hiring process is going to be, that conversation is going to be there. And I want to be able to hire somebody that is using AI because I know they're going to be more efficient and better at what they do. Now, I know also there's a transition period here. And I also know that there's going to be some developers out there or agencies or whatever that they have an incentive not to use AI because maybe they don't want to do things so fast. That's all I'll say about that. If they're getting paid hourly, if they're project based, would be different. But so that's essentially what I'm doing, and that's my workflow. I hope that was interesting to you. I get excited about it. I hope it's interesting to you as a business or even somebody that's doing programming or wants to. It's different depending on the size of project. Like these projects the one I talked about today is a larger project. There's a lot to it. That's why I needed Claude. I need a planner, but smaller stuff I pretty much could do all with probably Composer inside the editor or bring in Claude code in there and planning it and building it. If it's small stuff, that's no problem. And I'll just do it that way. I won't have that larger process. I don't know if I only bring Atlas in if I messed up or something. I need help. But no, there's just other applications with Atlas as well that I think we're only scratching the surface. It's relatively new, but yeah, from implementing the architecture and the implementation, the debugging and the problem solving and all that stuff can be done now like that. And I think it's just amazing. So can I say it's amazing? How many times have I said that? So I mean, it just because it just improves your efficiency. It's improved, and I'm excited too. I think I'm realizing that you know I understand what my role is, and I'm adapting to it. And it's always been, oh, that's just a tool. Like it's just a tool. You use that tool. AI isn't just a tool, technically, but it's a really good tool. And it's changing our roles and how we get stuff done. And yeah. So from there, let me talk a little bit about some other things now, with my agency and what I'm doing. And I'll kind of end on this. So I mentioned I'm building that chatbot. That's becoming a part of, we're going to use it internally. We're building it for ourselves first. So it's basically something I'm building and then I can replicate and use that to build for other people. I am getting more and more into AI stuff, obviously. It's just, the writing's on the wall and I don't think there's any going back. You know, some people might think that AI is a gimmick, or they're tired of hearing about it. But I really believe that AI has changed how we do things forever. Forever. It's just, it's not a gimmick. It's not something it's not just a tool that'll be gone tomorrow. This is changing how we work. And I'm experiencing that firsthand. I'm sure a lot of people are. So unified web design, obviously we're a web design shop. We have been for 7 years now. We're going to go into our 8th year soon. That's exciting. And we've done web design. We build websites. But we also we're a custom shop, so that's our biggest focus. And also maintenance is a big part of what we do. So there's from front end to back end, a lot of WordPress, some Shopify, and we're getting into some other things like Next.js and building UIs and apps and things like that. So that's great. That's pretty normal stuff. But I want to always position ourselves and always be thinking about the future. And I've been trying to figure out how my brand adapts and how we lean into it. We don't run away and we don't cry because all the projects are gone because we didn't adapt or change or whatever. But I mentioned powered by before. I think unified web design is basically going to be powered by AI and Unified Labs. So UnifiedLabs.ai is my website for all things AI. That's going to be play more and more of a role. And set up now, there's a very basic landing page, homepage. Don't even go there. In a couple of weeks. But it's going to become part of a bigger part of our picture as a brand and how we show up. AI is going to be, it's as I'm talking about the code, it's for us, it's becoming an integral part of how we get stuff done on the coding side and taking care of websites and all that stuff, how we solve problems. That's a whole door there, right? It's how we solve problems, how we troubleshoot, fix things. AI is always part of that process now, a lot of times. I mean, if it's just something simple, but if I need where I might have had to spend an hour digging through logs, like a log file or something, now I can just feed that to an AI and have it analyze it. Those are the ways it saves you time. Anyway, so we're going to be that Unified Labs is going to come more and more to the forefront, but it's also going to be just baked into Unified Web Design. I'm actually in the middle of today, was working on a couple new sales pages that are related to AI, but it's the AI chatbot and automations piece, but there's another landing page, sales page that's going to be related to design. Design's not going away, but we're going to be designing. We're going to kind of lean into the graphic side of things. And actually, this is a whole thing, AI image generation, video. This is something I've been also doing a lot with. I have not talked about it I don't think I've talked about it with anybody, but I spend a lot of my spare time just messing around with AI tools. And part of it is using systems like Sora, Grok Imagine to create images, video, and learning how those things work, but learning the technical side too, like how to make longer videos out of short ones, weird things. It's fun. But we're going to be offering some of those services as well. So we're expanding not only, and also like Photoshop and things like that, all have AI built into it now. I can expand a background, right? Give me a shot. There's so many times when you're designing a website, or you got a website and you have this image you want to use, but it's not the right aspect ratio. It's not the right size. Maybe it's a vertical. Well, you want to expand it. Now you can with Photoshop. It'll just fill all that in for you. And it's beautiful. It's like it was that way all the time. It can fix things. It can remove things. Those are the things we want to help with as well. So it's not only on the technical side, chatbots, automations, but it's also these other things, the design aspect, which I love because I have a creative side, and that's why I get obsessed with these things. So that AI chatbot project, Unified Labs, Unified Web Design, it's still a thing. And I'm hoping we're positioning ourselves to really capture this wave. I think we're just at the very beginning of it. I think there's so much going to happen. There's so much happening, but I think it's going to continue to evolve. And I'm hoping we can be in a place where people will come to us knowing that we use these tools. And I think this is my intuition, right? I think that clients and other agencies or whatever would expect you to. And if you're not, just like that hiring thing, if I am talking to a web developer and they don't use AI, that's a red flag. So I don't have to be like, I'm not using AI in my brand just because it's a buzzword or it's the thing to do. It's literally baked into what we do. And I'm hoping that's going to be a benefit for us going forward. And the other thing is just building in public. It's something that I'm trying to do, as I'm talking about right now. I'm building this chatbot. I'm sharing it. I have shared it privately and in other ways. And I've talked about it and what we're doing. And it's this getting this word out. And that's what I was talking to my friend from Friday as well. We were talking about kind of how I bring stuff to the forefront. Like I start just putting stuff out there. I might put something out there and I haven't even done it yet, but I have the sales copy out there. We do this. You do? Show me. This is, no, it's not that bad. That's why I'm doing the chatbot. Like if I can demo the chatbot, basically we build it. I'm building it like a product. I'm productizing it, right? So I'm creating a system. The system is what people will buy. I don't have to point to who we built it for. This is what we're going to build for you. Eventually we will, as we, hopefully sell some of these things, or as I do more AI related stuff, and I'll be able to start pointing just like we do now with maintenance. I can talk about maintenance all day long, building websites, WordPress. We'll be able to talk AI eventually. So I hope you found it interesting though. It's so much fun doing this stuff. And back to the builders, it's so much fun doing this for you. I want to thank the audience for sticking with us, or if you just discovered us, thank you for listening in. I'm a builder at heart, and there's so many builders out there that want to tell their stories and share their stories. Our tagline for this coming season is builders helping builders. And what that means is we're getting builders on this podcast, me included, that talk about what we're building. And the idea is we're sharing this and what we're doing in real world. And that will help other builders, or will inspire a new builder, right? Maybe you're a seasoned builder that needs to be reminded or needs to learn something. But also somebody that's just getting started, learning from others and how they do it. And it might inspire you to like, I can do that too, or I want to do that. That's exciting. Maybe you want to do coding with a team of AI bots like me. And I hope that, this episode really inspired you. again, depending on what you are, like if you're a web developer, great. If you're a business owner, you realize maybe it's not coding, but maybe there's ways you can use AI in your business to get things done, to automate things. And you can start thinking about, stop worrying about it taking over the world and start realizing these are your friends. If you approach it that way, these are your friends. You can't, obviously, there's got to put guardrails up in a variety of different ways. They do hallucinate once in a while, but they're really your collaborators. They're your team. They're your AI employees if you set them up properly, and they can just go out and get stuff done for you. When I'm doing, when I'm doing stuff, like whether it's on the coding side or when I had Atlas doing, figuring that thing out, you know what I'm doing? I'm doing this. And if you're not on video, I am bringing a coffee cup up to my face. And then I'm leaning back. And for a minute or two, the chatbot is doing all the work. But you're collaborating and you're giving it to different team members. Remember this too. This is a core message, a core thing to take away from this particular episode. Yes, you can decide to use one chatbot, one model. Right? Maybe that's ChatGPT 5. That's going to be one of the most popular ones. But understand, every chatbot is trained or fine-tuned in different ways to be better at different things. So find the bot that is going to be best for what you're doing. And maybe use more than one. All right, I'm going to go now. You have a good one. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I will see you in season 3. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Builders Podcast. One more quick note about our sponsors. At Unified Web Design, we're passionate about doing better together, partnering with agencies and businesses to deliver exceptional web design, development, and ongoing support. And UnifiedLabs.ai is where we explore smart, practical ways to integrate AI directly into your website and e-commerce flows. From intelligent chatbots to marketing automation to back-end reporting, all with a strong focus on user experience and making your systems work smarter. If you haven't already, subscribe or follow to stay updated on future episodes. And if you enjoyed today's conversation, sharing it with someone who might benefit helps us grow this amazing community. Until next time, keep building smarter, bolder, and with purpose.